Now, he also had to convince the Muslims. So, for convincing the Muslims, he wrote Tabeen ul Kalam, where he pointed out the similarities between Islam and Christianity in order to bring the two communities closer together. He also corrected the views of the West about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They had actually written down, something that was derogatory to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's personality. So he tried to correct it by, writing his own views, but somehow it remained incomplete. But he did make an effort. So this was how he tried to convince the Muslims. Now moving on to the second, objective, which was to encourage the growth of the Western education among the Muslims. Now looking upon a few facts, by 1871 there were around 711 Hindus in the government as opposed to 92 Muslims in the government of the subcontinent. Now this was very alarming, and he being a very far-sighted person, he understood that if such a state remained or continued, the Muslims would be nowhere. They would have no standing in the near future. So the Muslims needed a change in their attitude. They had to change their attitude. Now, his viewpoints were contradicted by the ulemas, who did not believe in the Western ideology. They saw it as un-Islamic, and science was also unacceptable for some of the Orthodox Muslims. So, in order to correct this, he tried to prove that science actually revealed the majesty of God and was not anything against the Islamic beliefs. He began a journal which was in Urdu and by the name of Tehzeebul Ikhlaq. Now this is also important because this also gets asked in the exams. So you have to remember all the dates, the names of the journals, his writings, etc. Now this was a first step towards intellectual revolution among the Muslims, because until then the Muslims were very backward, receiving not quality education. But this, with the circulation of these journals among the Muslim population, they started to come and get acquainted with what was happening in the world, and this brought about an intellectual revolution among the Muslims. In 1863, he started off a scientific society at Ghazipur. Now, in this scientific society, there were Muslim writers, Muslim thinkers, like minded men who were like him and who believed in what he believed in, the same principles. This was basically established to spread awareness of the scientific works that were being carried out in the entire world. And these works, the scientific works, were translated from English, Persian, and Arabic into Urdu. Urdu, a language that was easily accessible and understandable for the most of the Muslim population living in the subcontinent. So this is how he made the Muslims aware of the scientific advancements that were taking place in the world, and also helped them change their belief about science. In 1864, he continued on with the same work in Aligarh. In 1866, the Aligarh Institute Gazette, he started issuing this journal. And in 1859, he established a school at Muradabad. In 1864, another school at Ghazipur. In 1869, on his own expense, he traveled to England. Why? Because he wanted to study the educational system there, the university system that was prevalent there. He was very much impressed by the Cambridge and the Oxford systems, so he took a note of it, and on coming back, he spread this idea, popularized his idea, but his idea was met with a lot of criticism and suspicion, and therefore he thought it better to first establish a school. So on the 24th of May 1875, a Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental school was established. Okay, and this school was established in Aligarh, and it was established on the pattern of the English public school system. But the education that was provided here was not just restricted to Indian or Muslim, but it provided in Western education, Islamic education, Indian education. It was a mix of all three. Later on, the school got converted into a college, and this college was not just a college, but it was a symbol of Muslim unity, where there were people coming together, Muslims coming together, and great leaders also, took education from that college, like Ayub Khan and Liaquat Ali Khan. This college is considered to be, having contributed to the formation of Pakistan, because that was a place where, all the like-minded people, they sat together, they came together, they devised their policies, they thought about themselves and, their regeneration and they're coming back into the society as a powerful community. Now, in 1886, he founded the Mohammedan Educational Conference, meaning after the establishment of the college, he did not stop there. And this Mohammedan Educational Conference was very important because that again provided a platform for understanding the problems that the Muslims faced in their educational system, and this helped in improving their educational standards. Now there were orators and speakers in these conferences coming from different places, so it became naturally a platform for Muslims to unite, to express their views, to talk about their problems, to provide solutions. So in one way, it resulted in the formation of a political body, Muslim League. It was the first step towards formation of any political body that represented the Muslims of India. In 1920, finally, this college became a university, but sadly, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan could not live to see his dream come true. Now, talking about the third objective, that was increasing the political awareness of the Muslims. Now, how did he do that? He began with the same thing that we discussed earlier, the two pamphlets that he had written, Loyal Mohammedans of India, the essay of the causes of the Indian revolt. All of this, it tried to help the Muslims gain political awareness of what was going on in the subcontinent. How was it possible for them to come back or regain their status? And this also helped the Muslims gain opportunities, because once they became friendlier, or they developed good relations with the British, now they could get entry into different services, Indian civil service, in the army and other posts. He also tried to improve the relations of the Muslims with the Hindus, but he found the Hindus to be very hostile and Hindu centered. All their policies were very Hindu centered. So, therefore, he concluded that the Hindus and the Muslims cannot live together, and they were separate groups. And in 1885, there was this establishment of an Indian National Congress, and the British were, not against the formation of an Indian National Congress, because they saw it as a platform for the Indians to vent out their feelings, and they did not want anything like the War of Independence, resurfacing, like any sort of a revolt or a revolution from the side of the nation. So for that, they saw that this is a very good platform where the elite can come forward and express their views, and in one way or the other, the Indian people will feel that they are being represented. So they will not, try to come up with a revolt, or any sort of a hostile measure. International Congress later on called for a democratic system of governance in the lines of the what was being practiced in England. Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan was totally against it. The reason being, he was far-sighted, and he saw that the Hindus were in majority in India. They were 4 times greater than the Muslims, and democracy means it's the rule of the majority. So, who would have succeeded if the democratic system of governance was, made, was imposed on India? It would definitely be the Hindus. Then the Indian National Congress later on called for competitive examinations in the Indian civil service. Now he was again against this. Why was he against it? Because the Muslims were backward in education at that time. They were not receiving the same sort of educational opportunities which the Hindus were, so they were backward. And if there were competitive exams for the inclusion into the ICS, obviously the Muslims would lag behind. So he saw that and he opposed it. Okay, then language controversy. This is also an important event that took place. The Hindus, they started to show their true colors, and in 1867, they started to demand that Hindi be made the next official language. Now, Urdu had been a language since the official language since 1825. So, Urdu being replaced by Hindi was unacceptable by many, because they held a lot of sentimental value, attached a lot of sentimental value with Urdu, because a lot of good works were written in Urdu. So Sir Syed Ahmad Khan declared that the INC was a very hostile body and it was a completely Hindu-dominated body working only for the welfare of the Hindus. Although initially, when the Congress was established, it said that it's going to be a neutral organization working for the needs of both the Hindus and the Muslims. But it turned out differently. So he stopped attending the sessions of the Indian National Congress, and instead, he came up with the two nation theory, which declared that the Muslims and the Hindus were two nations separate that could not live together, that could not stay together. And he, formed a United Patriotic Alliance, where he started attending the sessions of United Patriotic Alliance, where the like-minded people came together, the Muslims in particular, against the Indian National Congress and its aims. Later on, this United Patriotic Alliance in 1893 became the Mohammedan Defense Alliance. Because now the rivalry was very apparent, rivalry between the Hindus and the Muslims, and they had also started to disrespect the religion of the Muslims. Some in some places there were incidents where the azan was banned, and a lot of measures were taken against the Muslim community. So the rift was becoming very apparent, and a peaceful coexistence now seemed very unlikely. Alright, now talking about the importance of his work, this is just a summary of what we discussed earlier. Number one, he tried to improve the relations between the British and the Muslims, and that in fact was a very important contribution of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. He also worked towards the revival of the Muslims of the subcontinent by empowering them with education on Western lines, and he also made them politically aware. And by political awareness, he realized that the Muslims could not survive in the subcontinent as one nation with the Hindus. So he promulgated the two nation theory, which eventually led to the Pakistan movement and the creation of Pakistan. So with this we come to the end of today's lesson. One thing that I want to highlight here is, in the exams you get a 14-mark question about which area was the most important, in which as regards Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, meaning where were his efforts the most important? Was it the relations, in improving the relations between the Muslims and the British community? Was it in education, or was it political area? So whatever they ask, you got to first talk about that. For example, if the question is about political awareness, that the politically his role is the greatest. So you have to write it down, write about his political contributions, and state that yes, whatever he did during in the political realm is undeniably very important, but he also made a lot of contributions in the other areas, like in improving the relations between the British and the Muslims. Then you are going to talk about what he did in that, for that, like writing of the essays and pamphlets, and then also about Muslim revival through education. Now when you talk about the educational sphere, you have to give it the most detailed explanation, because that's the most important area where he contributed. Because if he not contributed in uplifting the educational standard of the Muslims would not have been able to improve their relations with the British. They would not have been able to become politically aware. So it was the education that resulted in an economical, social, political upliftment of the Muslims. So you have to conclude it that way. Alright, so I hope this was easy and very understandable. So with this we conclude today's lesson, and if you found this video helpful, please do subscribe to my channel, and share, and also comment. Thank you so much for watching.